Hello, everyone. We are continuing our series of interviews with Families Fly Free members because we love to show you, and we know that you guys love to hear real life examples of how families are making this work to fly free with travel rewards, and specifically using the system and the process and the hacks that we teach here at Families Fly Free. So today we have with us Melissa Judd. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you. Hello.
So Melissa lives not too far from me, just in another suburb of Indianapolis. We probably could have done this in person, right?
Yeah,
It would have been
absolutely.
easy enough. And she is in her second year as a Families Fly Free member. So I'm going to let Melissa just tell you a little bit about herself and her family and the types of travel that they like to do.
Yeah, sure. So, as she said, my name is Melissa Judd. I have a husband and two kiddos. One is in middle school and one is finishing elementary school this year. We are a very active family, so when we travel, we try to be very intentional about our travel. We like to go to the beach. We are fans of Disney. We also have recently gotten into trying new places, and that's definitely thanks to our ability to save on travel through our membership and explore places that we've never been before because we can now afford to fly there. So our type of travel, I think, when your kids are younger, you really love those theme parks, and that's why we're fans of Disney. And now we're getting into some of the islands and some of the Caribbean and things like that. So
have you found, like you're saying, since you've figured out the fly free part of things, then suddenly you have to start figuring out where else can we go, right?
Where else can we go? Yeah, so that's been one of our favorite things, is getting a map out and looking at where in the United States could we possibly travel, and challenging my children as they're learning in school, where are places that you would like to see in person, and coming up with a list of places that they might actually want to see, and making our top fives. And that's something that I learned in one of your classes of how do you make your top five and where do you decide to go. And that's something that we've definitely done. Yeah.
And I think that's I love that, because what we're trying to do here at Families Fly Free really is bring families together and help you make those memories. And we're trying to do it through travel. But I think, to your point, you're also, the family is coming together to think about where to travel. That's such a great discussion over the dinner table, or just to let everyone, if cost wasn't an issue, where would you like to go? And that gives the kids some buy-in too. And then they're more excited about where you're going, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I found just how cool is it that we've been able to do things like take our kids to see the statue of David in Florence, which they're going to learn about in school, and they've actually seen that in person, or the Mona Lisa, or, that's such an amazing add-on to their lives and their I hope it makes their education a little bit more interesting,
absolutely.
They pay a little bit more attention to it. So, okay. Well, tell us about some of the trips that you have taken as a member, and how the membership helped you with those.
Yeah. So since being a member, the very first trip that we ever took was actually back home, being able to go see my grandma for her 80th birthday. And taking 4 people back. I'm from North Dakota, so being able to get back to North Dakota is usually several thousands of dollars, but we were able to get as far as to Minneapolis for free. And so being able to get the 4 of us back there and make that trip in the middle of the summer, peak travel time, and get for her 80th birthday and surprise her was very meaningful for us.
Yeah.
That was our first trip. We've made it down to Orlando twice. So obviously big fans. I probably shouldn't admit how many times we go there. I took a girls trip to Fort Myers, Florida. So that was very fun. We took a family trip to Cabo, first time our kids ever went out of the country. So that was very fun. And we just finally finished our trip to Maui. So we also got hit by COVID and had to cancel that and then reschedule. And your team was very helpful with that, and very helpful with your trip planning tips on where to stay and what to do while you're in Maui. Definitely used all those tips and tricks on a 7-day itinerary and things like that on how to plan that trip out. And we just finished that one. So that was, I think, 20 round trip airfares right there. Just
And those are all free?
Those were all free, all of them.
Guys, that's amazing. And you've been a member like a year and a half?
Yeah, a year and a half. And we also covered part of my parents' trip to Maui as well. So that would be like 22 if you count those.
So let's talk about how difficult or easy was that to do?
I would say very easy, shockingly easy. That was probably my biggest reservation, was like, could I actually pull this off, being a full-time employed person, a mother, kids that are very active, a husband who coaches way too many things, who also works full-time. But yeah, very easy. You guys have a lot of tools, a lot of trackers. Excel sheets are my jam, so those work very well for me. To be able to track those things and make it very easy to achieve. If the companion pass is your goal, which it was for me, to be able to achieve getting a companion pass, to cut down on how many points I needed to get, and to be able to do that was really easy. It took about 3 months to achieve it. So,
and did you spend much time, let's just say, per week on that?
Oh, no. Nope, just used our regular spending to achieve the companion pass. And then once we had it, just really made that list to say, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? What are the trips we want to take? We actually have 3 more trips booked by the end of this year that we plan to take, that are all paid with points as well. And before we got on this call, I just checked our points balance, and right now we still have 250,000 Southwest.
Oh my gosh.
That we haven't used or don't have booked up yet. So yeah.
So how many trips do you think you'll take this year?
This year total, it'll be between Cabo, Maui, Fort Myers. Then we have 3 more, so that'll be 6 trips this year.
Yeah, and that's about, over the years, what my family has averaged is 6 trips, and I think we're going to hit 7 for the first time this year. And as you said, like, that's a mix of, you took a girlfriend's trip too, right?
Yep.
In addition to taking the whole family, but some where you're taking extended family too.
Yep.
And what we're really are trying to set you up with here is an easy way to do this and to always be replenishing your points. So that's why Melissa doesn't feel like she's out of points. It's not like she had this one bucket of points and then when she spent them, it was done. We show you how to continually replenish so that you've always got more points ready to go. And if you ever feel like you're getting low, then you reach out to us, which you can reach out to us at any time as a member, and we'll help you with, okay, what's a strategy that we could take to try to boost that balance to get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
Okay, you said a lot of good things in there that I wanted to circle back to. So one, you talked about, going to Hawaii and the resources that are in the membership that helped you. So not only do we show you how to fly free to Hawaii, but we have all kinds of videos and webinars. We know that Hawaii and Disney are definitely top 2 destinations for a lot of our members. So we have a lot of great content around those 2. So we have webinars on what to do in Maui and where to stay in Maui and the other islands too. And an itinerary, like you said, you were able to take, and not that you necessarily want to follow it step by step, but you can look at it and pull from it what you want to do and find helpful. Okay, so that was awesome. So what do you think is your favorite thing about being a member?
So one thing that I really love about being a member is probably the magnitude of resources. So when you try to search the internet, you may find some tools, but how you guys have organized the tools and make them available for us, and that you can find, whether it's an itinerary, whether it's a tracker, whether it's a podcast, it's there in one place. And for me, as a busy person, as a person that doesn't have a lot of time to sit there and whether it's scour a Facebook page or go on the internet, that time is valuable to me. And being able to have that in one place, that's probably the most valuable to me. And just to know that I can trust it, you know.
Mm.
When I look at something, I'm always kind of a little skeptical, you know, to say like, is this really going to work? Is this really true? And being able to like see those testimonies on there and being able to see that like real people were benefiting from this, all of that I think was is what I enjoy the most.
And yeah, for me, it was, like feeling like I had to scan through a bunch of blog posts every day, 90% of which weren't relevant to what I was trying to do, and then make the decision, is this something I need to be doing or not? And, unfortunately, a lot of the travel rewards stuff out there, the way that they make their income is through credit card affiliate commissions. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to be very careful that they're not telling you to sign up for a card that you don't need.
Or that's not ultimately beneficial when you go to cash it in.
Right. And you don't need all of these cards. Like how many cards are you using to make this work?
Yeah.
I
mean, ultimately the average person isn't going to have 10 cards, or whatever some of these places would have you try to sign up for. Yeah.
And so we try to do it with as few cards as possible, like on the order of 3 to 4. And so anyway, you just have to be careful that, and what we really try to do is we're only telling you what we think what you need, what cards you need to be successful. That's not our vested interest, is not in running up a big credit card commission bill, because we have the membership that you've invested in, and that enables us to fund what we're doing and grow it and build our team to help you. So I think that's great. Had you tried to do anything with travel rewards before you joined the membership?
No, I had not.
No. Okay. So you were starting from scratch, which is great, because then we can really craft you right from the get-go of exactly what to do. But we do have people that have been trying this and sometimes come in with a big mess, right? And we can help you clean that up too. And if you've made a mistake, which most of us do at the beginning of finding travel rewards, we can help you with what's the best way to get around that mistake and not make it in the future going forward. And a lot of times it is just signing up for cards that you don't need at the wrong time, because it is very important that you time your cards correctly, and that helps you to minimize the ones you need and maximize, what you're getting from them.
Yeah, I was very skeptical of travel award and very like, I don't want to just sign up for a credit card to sign up for a credit card. So I did a lot of research on like, who could I trust in this area? And basically it led me to you guys. So
yay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, like how you overcame that skepticism, because I think a lot of people feel like that at the beginning.
Yeah. So really it came down to the testimonies that you guys were willing to share even before I was a member. The willingness to reach out and have a conversation with me when I was interested in becoming a member. You weren't afraid to have that one-on-one conversation when I said, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a member, but I want to learn more. That willingness to have that one-on-one conversation. I think it was like a 30-minute Zoom, and talk me through it, answer my questions, was really what it took to put me at ease and say, okay, this can be done without needing, that wallet that you like, I think of like the Seinfeld episode where his wallet's so big, you like can't fit,
Right.
like that's where I didn't want to have to go. Like I
And
didn't
sadly, that is where a
go.
lot of people are,
Yeah. And I didn't want to have to go down that route to think that that's what it took to afford to be successful at like award travel. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. And is there anything that surprised you about the membership that you didn't necessarily expect, from the get-go, but you've enjoyed after you became a member?
So I think there's two things that really surprised me. One is how much I could take away from other members. So on the different calls and stuff, just learning from other members, like the travel that they've done or the things that they've learned or the places that they've been. I hear on different calls, different, Tuesday, Thursday things. I'm like, oh, I'm going to add that to my list because that sounds like really cool, or that sounds really neat. Or, one time somebody was talking about how they rented out their minivan on Turo, and I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, wow, mind blown. Like, I didn't even think about people doing that. Like, just different things like that, I think is an added benefit that you don't expect. And just hearing about that, I still hope to someday benefit from some of the members that have different timeshares that are willing to share them within the group at good rates. Like sooner or later, I'm going to snag one of those. It's going to work out with the timing. And then I think the other thing that really surprised me was really just that it's more about being able to learn about destinations more than I thought. So, our next big plan is to go to Europe. And there is a lot of stuff in there about going to Europe, and it's not just the United States, and it's not just Southwest. And I was very pleasantly surprised about that. And that's always been a goal, to take my kids there. My husband and I actually met on an overseas trip before we ever got married. Like that's how we met. And so to be able to share some of that with our kids is one of our life plans. And so yeah, like the fact that it's more global than anybody realizes was a surprise to me too.
Yeah, and we definitely are trying to help people, US, Caribbean, and Europe, as our expertise and specialty. If you're following the same path that I did. So we figured out the US and the Caribbean, right? We hit 6 times a year. And then same thing. It was like, I couldn't believe I actually was going to be able to take my family of 4 to Europe. Like, I never in my lifetime thought I would ever be able to afford that. And that was just an amazing dream that now we can continue to go back, which is even more ridiculous. But so we really want to help families that have that as a dream, make that come true and show you it's not quite as easy as flying around the US, but we've found what we think are the easiest ways to do it. And that's what we focus on in the membership. And Melissa's talking here about, like learning from other members, which I truly think is one of the best values here, because we have the collective wisdom of now hundreds of members, and you can all learn from each other's different experiences and interests. And we do allow members to connect with one another who have Disney Vacation Club points or other timeshare points that they can share with members. Because if you can work one-on-one with someone, that's going to be your cheapest option there versus going through a middleman that's trying to resell timeshare points. So you really can stay for amazing places for pennies on the dollar. And then we have these weekly live webinars. I think a lot of people are surprised about that when they come in. And, as many of those as you can take advantage of, the more you'll get out of the membership. And it sounds like you really have, in terms of, us, we talk about different destinations, to inspire you of where to go next. And we bring in different members to lead them. So like we had that great panel on, that one was about how to monetize your travels. And so we had a member who, had his minivan on Turo as one example. And I know we've had at least another member put their get a car and put it on Turo, as a result of that. So you can just learn all kinds of things in here if you love to travel. I think it's just a fun place to be, and you're with other people who have the same, not only passion for travel, but same money saving mindset. So I love all that. Okay. Can you quantify for us the amount that you think you've saved, or give us an example of, a savings on a trip or point savings?
Yeah, so I can give you an example of point savings. So on our trip to Cabo, we chose to go in December of last year, and the flights that we originally wanted were going to be 42,000 points for one way each person. Wow. So think about that. And we used one of the hacks that your membership teaches us. And I was able to save immediately a little bit over half of that.
Wow.
Just from that alone. And then we had a companion pass. So that saved us a whole 42,000 points one way.
No points you have to pay on that one, right?
Yeah. And so 42,000 one way. So what does that come out to be? That comes out to be 84,000 points saved right there just from the companion pass.
Right.
And then we were able to get one of the flights, we decided to book them one way instead of round trip. One of the flights we got all the way down to 9,000 instead of the 42,000. Wow. So
you can use those points to take more free trips.
So that's 139,000 points. And most of that was for the hack and then having the companion pass. And then
think of how many trips you can take on 139,000 points. Yeah.
And then this year we actually have 2 companion passes. So when we went to Maui, the original flights were supposed to be 59,000 points on the way there and 33,000 on the way back. We also were able to use the hack and got it down to 18,000. And then we got lucky and the way back was about 11,000. And then added both children as our companions and got both of their flights free. But again, that second companion pass we would have not achieved had we not been in the group and learned additional ways on how to get those points, because we already had the cards. So we couldn't have earned them any other way other than learning from your group on how to earn that card.
Yeah. And I would advise, if you're going to try for 2, you really want to make sure you're doing that right, which you are, that you've thought it through, you understand the timing, you understand the expiration dates, and all of that is super, super important, just to make sure you're doing it right. And so, I wouldn't advise everyone just trying that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
So, and I just if we quantified, you said maybe 22 round trips, and I value Airlines for America says the average round trip in the US is $350. So if you took 22 times 350, you're at about $7,700. And I would wager this year, the average round trip was a lot higher.
Yeah.
A lot higher, maybe double that. So point being, you certainly well over, then made your money back.
Yeah.
From what you invested in the membership.
Yeah, which is why I didn't hesitate at all to sign back up. When my 1 year was up,
year 2.
Oh, hurry up and renew. Don't let that thing lapse, because very early on I realized that it was worth the membership. And I don't know in a year that you could ever get through the amount of content that is available. Unless if you didn't have
is
a
it
job.
overwhelming the amount of content we have?
No, but it's just you guys
Yeah.
keep adding.
Yeah, we
So,
do.
and then there's stuff that you want to go back to. So you wouldn't want to not have access to it, in my opinion.
Right.
So, like I've went through the stuff for Europe, but we're at least another year away before we go. And so I wouldn't trust myself to remember that information.
Mhm.
And then there's a good chance it's going to get updated before then. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And we do, like, we're at the moment, as we're recording this, we're updating our how to stay free in hotels course, for example, because that needed a refresh because hotels have changed the way they do
Yeah.
some of their points things in the last year. So we make sure to keep that updated. But so let's talk a little bit about, a lot of people see the cost of membership and they think, well, that's way too much. Can you talk about what you would tell someone who thinks that? What would you advise them?
So I've had personal friends in my life ask about it. Like, how can you afford to travel so much? And I tell them that, I am in this group, and they're like, oh, well, how much does that cost? And I tell them that, there is a membership fee. It does cost money. And I tell them, I said, well, this is how I look at it. I can pay to fly my family like one place very close. Like I probably couldn't even fly to Orlando, or I can pay to learn how to use these tools and I can take all of these wonderful trips. So for me, I'm investing in my future to be able to do this. And eventually, maybe I won't need the membership or I won't want the membership, but I personally find value in staying in the group because like I said, the content's changing, the content's growing, the group, the members, you learn stuff from them. You learn about places that you thought maybe I never would have wanted to go there. And then I hear from another member and they talk about a trip that they took there. And then you think, man, I need to add that to my list because that's a place that now I want to go. So to me, I just talk to them about like every decision you make in your life, there's trade-offs.
Yeah.
And for us, our family has decided that we want to go and experience things. We have enough stuff in life. And those memories that we're going to have, that we're going to take with us, that our children are going to leave home and take with them, they're not going to remember the hour that we played Xbox with them. They're not going to remember that, but they're going to remember when we went to Cabo and my son got to stay at his first all-inclusive resort and had 15 pizzas, like he's going to talk about that forever. Like every person he talks to, he talks about that. They're going to remember when they see the Grand Canyon for the first time, when we go there in February, they're going to remember those things and those are going to leave lasting memories. And that's the type of childhood that we want to give them. And so I just tell them, I'm like, those are the decisions that we're making as a family. And that may not be the decision you want to make. And that's okay. But if it is, then it's worth every penny. And I'll tell you that every day of the week.
You're giving me chills over here. Yeah, no, that's so good. And that's exactly our mission that we're trying to accomplish here for people is what you just articulated there. And like, I agree in terms of like the members just sold me on becoming a Disney Vacation Club member. Like my own member webinar sold me on on something. Right. That's such a good example of just how you're because they presented it in such a way that I'd never thought about before,
Yeah.
And isn't that the benefit of just being open-minded and learning from others, of that there could be a different way to look at flying free or, any of this stuff for sure.
Well, here in the Indianapolis area, we have fall break in October. In our school district, we get 2 weeks for fall break. Nice. I cannot tell you how many families have told me we can't afford to go anywhere this year. Like they're like, we're looking at flights and it's going to cost over $2,000 to go anywhere. And then I'm like, well, we're going to Mexico. And everybody's like, how can you afford it? And I'm like, let me tell you this group that you should join. And then everybody's like, well, it's like $800 to join. I'm like, yeah, but you could fly free for a couple of years. You know, I'm like, think about how many trips you're not going to take in the next couple of years because of what you just told me, because it's going to cost you $2,000 to get to Florida and you don't want to drive it. So I'm like, you should really join now. You should really join now because you have a lot of trips that you could be taking. So.
Right. I mean, it really is, like you said, that, you know, for the cost of membership, maybe you could get one flight for 4 people, maybe not. So do you want to give that money to the airline and get one flight back, or do you want to make an investment? And this is why we bring members like you on, to help people understand it is a trustworthy membership that really does work for people. Because I understand it sounds too good to be true and that kind of thing, but or, you know, so would you rather invest in the membership and be able to fly free for the rest of your life based on the process that you learn from us? We agree that it's worth it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've convinced a few more people it is as well.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to talk about is just kind of the one-on-one support that we offer in the membership. Can you just share any your experience with that? Because I think that's a big component as you're trying to learn travel rewards, that you have you can lean on someone and know that you can ask questions, you know, as they come up along the way, and maybe the plan that you got to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So when I first joined, I did get a plan on how to achieve the companion pass. Followed the plan, was successful in achieving the companion pass. And then when I had questions on how to redeem, like for the first time, I ended up like not really reaching out at first because I just watched like some of the videos and found that they were very helpful. And then when I had some questions about like how to track the pricing of some of the flights, I reached out and was very helpful just like over email to be able to get some tools sent to me and some Excel sheets on like how people within the program would track through Excel and be able to watch, and recommended to look at like Tuesdays because that's usually a cheaper flight day, and different tidbits that like if you don't travel very often you might not know. But throughout the thing, there's been, I think I've had at least every quarter a check-in, or at least the option, even if I maybe didn't take it, but I think I took it every time, to have a one-on-one check-in. Anytime in between there, if I've needed anything, I've either emailed, I've asked a question in the group hub, and I've always gotten an answer, sometimes within minutes, sometimes within an hour, but always the same day. Sometimes multiple people have responded, and always super helpful. I know I was looking for a place to stay in Vegas and for options, and I had like 4 or 5 people reach out and say, oh, I just stayed here. Oh, this is a great place. Like I'd never been to Vegas. I needed like a one-night stopover place to stay. Got lots of support and help from that, even from just members that had recently been there that had some advice to give. So, you know, one-on-one calls, emails, through the membership hub. If you can't find it, there's probably a podcast, or there's probably already a tool created. I think all of those avenues I've used more than once and found success with. So pretty well-rounded.
And that we do have a community forum, which is where Melissa's talking about. She would have posted looking for, say, Las Vegas hotels recommendations. And then that's a place where other members can then, and our team too, can weigh in, and offer their recommendations. So, and that gets busier and busier every single day, with more people getting involved in that. And we've now added special interest groups in there. So we have like military families, we have young families, we have retirees, we have singles, you name it, it's there. So you can connect with folks who are similar to you. And Oh, I just wanted to bring up, like, I think one of your questions too was in going to Hawaii back when they had the COVID restrictions. So that's kind of an example of maybe something you wouldn't think about you could ask, because it still has to do with travel, but not necessarily with a credit card or with using miles and points or whatever. But we're happy to help you with any kind of situation that you have. You're having trouble booking, you're not sure how to, navigate, I don't know, name anything related to travel. We do our best to try to, if we don't know the answer, help find the answer for you. And I think that was one we all had to kind of do a little sleuthing around with, that at that point. I think none of those things are in place anymore, thank goodness. But yeah, that was a tricky time period, getting to Hawaii and making sure you had the tests ahead of time and how that all worked and was validated,
and where to get your wristband.
Right. That was, and I think we had just been there and done that. And I think it was different at every airport, or you had to know to go up and ask him for the wristband and,
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay. Well, this has been,
oh, sorry. You guys actually had somebody on the team contact Southwest in Phoenix for me. So
there you go. See, you get great. Where else are you going to get that in the travel? I don't even think you get that anywhere in the travel reward at all, space at all. Forget travel rewards, but just in the space. And that's something that's very important to me, that our members are very well taken care of, and they feel like they're getting, top-notch customer service. So that's certainly a goal for me. And I think we're achieving it. So yay. Okay. So such a great interview. Do you have anything else that you want to add that we haven't talked about, or anything else you would recommend to people considering joining the membership?
I think if you're considering joining, I would tell people that, there's always the adage that, will it pay for itself? And what I tell people is, when you think about when you only have like a few years with your kiddos, think about what you want them to leave home with. Like when I sat down and I said, oh gosh, like this is, a lot of money. Do I want to do this or do I not want to do this? I thought about like, what do I spend my money on now? And what do I want my kids to leave home thinking about? And what are the memories that I want them to leave home with? And I just knew in my gut, if I didn't bite the bullet and do this, that like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years were going to go by. And maybe we could afford to take like that one trip a year or every other year. But like that was going to be it. We weren't going to be able to be those people that could travel like multiple times a year. We weren't going to be those people that could, basically be like the talk of the little neighborhood where they're like, they're going somewhere again, and I just, if it's something that you want to be able to do, I just can't express enough that to me it's worth it. And I hope that you listen to these testimonies and realize that like we're just normal people. I'm just like a working American. I'm not uber rich. I'm not like out here making a ton of money. I'm a working class person, and if I can do it, I really firmly believe that you can too.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, it's absolutely is achievable and we have so many people that are, nurses, teachers, policemen, firefighters that work so hard, during the week. And what a great gift that they can now not have to worry about travel, and they can enjoy, those experiences with their families. And as someone who just dropped their kid off at college, you guys, I'm telling you, it goes fast, and you do want to make those memories before your time runs out. And particularly when we faced like the pandemic, I had so many people emailing me like even older people like, oh my gosh, like now I wish I'd done more travel because now I don't know if I'm going to be able to travel again. So you just never know what's around the corner, and do it now while you can. All right. Thank you so much, Melissa. Really appreciate it. And of course, we will see you inside the membership. Thanks for being a member.
Thanks.